Greetings, everyone. My name is Andrew Witkin, and I'm a co-president of the IFPDA Foundation, something that you probably know, but it's a nonprofit that offers direct financial support to museums and other arts institutions through grants for education programs, exhibitions, scholarly research, and museum and print-based curatorial internships. Funding for the IFPDA Foundation is provided by individual donations and by proceeds from this fair, as well as other fundraisers. Thanks for joining us for what I'm sure will be an illuminating conversation between our guests. I do want to add that this event has been co-organized by the Association of Print Scholars, and so now I'll introduce Rachel Skokowski, the Director of Galleries and the Curator at Janet Turner Print Museum in Chico, California. Rachel serves as a program coordinator with the Association of Print Scholars. Rachel?
Thank you so much, Andrew, and the IFPDA Foundation. I'm honored to be here today on behalf of the Association of Print Scholars. Last year, APS celebrated our 10th anniversary. We're a nonprofit organization that brings together a diverse range of curators, scholars, collectors, and artists. We're committed to supporting the print community through awards, grants, and public programs like this one. So today, we welcome to the stage LaToya M. Hobbs and Elizabeth Rudy to celebrate the upcoming publication of LaToya M. Hobbs, Carving Out Time, which follows a stunning exhibition at the Harvard Art Museums last year. This talk will explore Hobbs's printmaking practice alongside broader themes of labor, identity, and the translation of intimacy on a grand scale. So I'd now like to introduce our two fabulous speakers. LaToya M. Hobbs is an artist, wife, and mother of two from Little Rock, Arkansas, who is currently living and working in Baltimore, Maryland. She received her BA in painting from the University of Arkansas at Little Rock and her MFA in printmaking from Purdue University. Her work deals with figurative imagery that addresses ideas of beauty, cultural identity, and womanhood as they relate to women of the African diaspora. Through her mixed media works, she explores the matrix as art object, combining key elements from both her painting and printmaking practices. And her exhibition record includes numerous national and international venues, and she's also a professor at the Maryland Institute College of Art and a founding member of the Black Women of Print, a collective whose vision is to make visible the narratives and works of Black women printmakers, past, present, and future. I highly encourage you to visit their booth at the fair. And joining LaToya today is Elizabeth Rudy, who you may also have seen yesterday in a wonderful conversation with artist Christiana Baumgartner. And Elizabeth is the Carl A. Weyerhaeuser Curator of Prints and Drawings at the Harvard Art Museums, where she stewards a collection of roughly 60,000 prints made in Europe and the Americas from the 15th century to the contemporary era. She holds a PhD, and her scholarly research focuses on prints of the 18th and 19th centuries. She has published widely on prints, and some of her recent exhibitions include Prints from the Brandywine Workshop and Archives, Dare to Know, Prints and Drawings in the Age of Enlightenment, and Edvard Munch, Technically Speaking, which is on view now through July. So please join me in giving a very warm welcome to LaToya and Elizabeth.
Thank you so much for that generous introduction, Rachel, and Andrew for your remarks as well. And thank you to the APS for offering me and LaToya this great opportunity to reflect on past projects and to share ongoing and future work. And thank you all for being here on this warm summer day in March. It's an honor to share the stage with you, LaToya. And to begin, I'd like to invite you to reflect on the past year. It was incredibly productive. It was what I call a monster year, with 3 solo exhibitions at museums in 3 different regions of the United States, a Denbo publishing residency at Pyramid Atlantic Art Center, where you made a lithograph, which is on view at the Brooklyn Art Fair, another portfolio of prints to which you contributed with the amazing Black Women of Print Collective, which is on view here at the IFPDA Fair, and of which you are a founding member, and much, much more. Would you care to share some thoughts about all these incredible achievements and this incredible productivity?
Yeah, sure. First, thank you all for being here. Can you hear me? Good. Okay. Yeah, again, like Elizabeth iterated, thank you for spending your time with us this afternoon. But to answer your question, I would say actually it's like the past 5 years, I think, have been really great. I feel like my practice has just skyrocketed and I've had a lot of growth just in my art practice personally, but also there's been a lot more attention and visibility around my work. But I would say 2024 was a year where I felt like I was really able to start to see the fruits of my labor, right? So seeing all the seeds that I planted, all the things that I wrote in my journal about places that I wanted to show, really starting to see those things come to harvest and to come to fruition. And so I think it's really rare for like any artist to have 3 solo museum exhibitions in 1 year. So I was really thankful for, these curators reaching out to me, seeing my work and giving me those opportunities. And you mentioned the residency I did at Pyramid Atlantic. So it was also an opportunity for me to kind of go back to some other print processes that I don't really do often. A lot of my work is steeped in my practice as a relief printmaker. And so in that residency, I got to do a lithograph. My motivation for that was I had somebody else to print it for me. So yeah, it was just really nice to have these really amazing and I think, historical exhibitions and to also spend some time experimenting with some new processes.
That's great. Thank you. The work that brought us together was carving out time. The prints were your 15 carved panels that you made from 2020 to 2021. They unfold over 5 massive scenes, 4 of which you can see on the screen here, showing a day in your life, juggling the roles of mother, artist, spouse, and all the care, energy, and commitment that entails. Mm-hmm. It was also a huge undertaking, months of a year, well, more than a year of planning and carving and then printing the edition. You've described this project as the gift that keeps on giving. And that's absolutely the case for anybody who looks at this work. There's always a new line to discover, a new texture to encounter. Mm-hmm. But could you say a little bit more about what that means to you, the gift that keeps on giving?
Yeah, well, for those of you who aren't familiar with this piece, I like to call it a portrait of my day. And so as Elizabeth mentioned, it takes you on a journey of a day in my life as a mother, practicing artist. So we start out the day in the morning and we finally get to end the day with me in the studio. So I call it one work in 5 parts. As you can, I don't know if you can tell from the slides, but it's also really large. So it's life scale because I'm reflecting my life. So the full scale of the work is 8 feet tall and all the panels together measure about 60 feet. But I described that piece as the gift that keeps on giving. I kind of just wrote that in my journal one time and I said it to you in conversation before. But that work really gave so much to me inwardly, like inward facing and outward facing as well. So I would say internally, it really gave me an opportunity to really like excel in my practice. In so many levels, just in terms of project management, that was like the biggest work I had done at the time. Well, still is. It was literally the most monumental thing that I had done in my practice to date. So it kind of took my project management skills to another level. It took my time management skills to another level. I had to really, it's ironic that the piece is called Carving Out Time because I had to really be mindful of time because I had a deadline to finish this massive work by for the museum that I was going to be showing in. And just technically, because it's so much carving, which is the thing of my printmaking practice that I really enjoy, I just really had to like come up with new techniques, problem solve on a different level that I hadn't done before because there was so much work. I purposely tried to incorporate things that I had never drawn before or carved before. So really was able to challenge myself on a technical level. And then I would say outward facing is giving me opportunity to really connect with museum goers and visitors and anybody who sees the work on a more kind of intimate level. So it's really rewarding for me to hear people share their comments about the work. And I think more importantly, people felt that they were seen in the pieces. And I particularly enjoyed the comments from mothers. So I had lots of moms coming up to me saying, oh yes, this happens in my house every day. Or, your work makes me feel appreciated because, somebody sees all the care and things that go into a lot of the like unspoken labor that happens in our households on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely, and that a lot of people who experienced the show saw your work and described it as a gift to them for seeing not just their experiences reflected, but also just at that scale, as you say. So We first met in early 2022 when the blocks were on view at the Baltimore Museum of Art, and they were subsequently purchased by that institution. And then the entire edition was purchased by museums, the first set by the Harvard Art Museums and the second by the Milwaukee Art Museum. And it was a joy to work with you on that acquisition, the exhibition, and now the book. And as I was preparing these remarks, I realized that in almost every single day of 2024, there were visitors who were seeing, discussing, and engaging Carving Out Time. In the winter, the panels were on view in your solo show at the Frist Art Museum. The prints and your preparatory drawings were the focus of the show at Harvard, and both the blocks and the prints were on the show at your solo show or on view in your solo show at the Milwaukee Art Museum. And I'm curious, what questions did you find yourself answering most from these visitors? What were the common threads between the audiences in Tennessee and then Massachusetts and then Wisconsin?
Well, ironically, time was always a focus of conversation, just literally like how long did it take you to do this? And I think part of that is because of just, again, the grand scale of the work, seeing like these 5 big pieces there, each 8 by 12 feet. In their dimensions, but people just really couldn't fathom like somebody actually took the time to do to do all of this. So time was always like one of the first questions that people always ask. And then after that, I would say the questions vary depending on the type of person that I'm talking to. So art historians tend to talk about the broader work. Another important aspect of this work is that in each of these kind of domestic spaces that I'm showing up with my family, there's artwork on the walls, and so there are very specific references to other artists who have influenced my practice in some way. So those were kind of the conversations with art historians, like why did I pick these particular people, or why did I pick this particular piece? With artists, it's always process and materials. And then I would say with just kind of regular people visiting the museum, they more shared their experience of how the work made them feel. And so that was really, great for me. Or also like their experience that, this is the first time I've seen a Black family in a museum. So those, moments were particularly special for me because it's just a reminder of like the importance of the work. And the importance of like having these type of images out in spaces that you wouldn't typically expect to see them in.
Yet again, a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when the Harvard exhibition launched, as you know, there was immense interest and a little bit of pressure among my colleagues to produce a focused publication about carving out time. And I say pressure that because I kept saying, well, not until the work is on view and people can experience it, can we truly put out a book that's worthy of the work? I really felt that physical encounter between the viewer and the monumentality of the work was important. And I'm thrilled to announce that the book is complete and it'll soon be in our hands in about 2 months. And as I thought about what I hoped most for with this publication, is that it would be a capstone of sorts, since the blocks and the complete edition of the prints, aside from your artist proof, which is in your archive, all of them were acquired by museums, and the work now lives in 3 very different institutions. And so part of my goal was to capture the voices and the perspectives of the curators who had worked very closely with you to make that happen. And these were Layla Groth of the Baltimore Museum of Art, Professor Rebecca Van Diver of Vanderbilt University, who was the curator of the show at the Frist Art Museum, and Nikki Auden of the Milwaukee Art Museum. LaToya, could you share some of your thoughts about working with these various institutions and how that might have surprised you in some way, the differences between those different collaborations?
Okay. I would say the common thread between all 3 of those instances that you mentioned was the fact that the curators really took time to center my voice, which I thought was really important because sometimes artists don't always have that experience working with curators. So it was very much collaborative. So they always checked in with me. I got lots of emails. Hey, can you sign off on this? What do you think about this color? Do you like this text? How do you want them to be hung? There's a spacing between the works, what you want it to be. So I was really fortunate that they were so appreciative of me and the work and really wanted to have my input and my feedback on what was happening in the spaces. So I was really thankful for that. Sometimes I was like, well, I don't really need to see all this. So it's a lot of extra emails, but again, I was still really thankful that they really centered my voice and my vision behind the work as well. I would say kind of comparing all the 3 spaces, there were very different spaces physically. And so for me, it kind of spoke to the adaptability of the work, which is something that was really important. So even though all the spaces were very different, the show looked really great in each of the spaces. And so when I was thinking about the planning of Carving Out Time, considering the scale of the work, because it's so big, I didn't want its scale to be a barrier to prevent people from being able to show the work. So in constructing like the compositions for each of the scenes, I eventually made the decision to have them be separate experiences that take you throughout the day, just so there's a lot more flexibility in terms of how people can exhibit the space. And so I don't know if there's people that were able to see all 3 iterations of the show, but the way Carving Out Time was organized was like really different in each of the spaces, but it was still equally powerful among all 3.
That's great. Sorry for the email, but you're such an amazing collaborator that it's sort of like we started, and it's just amazing to work with you. So
Thank you.
I know that I'm not surprised at all that you found that Nikki and Layla had a similar experience. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the scope of the book, and after I sort of present it, LaToya will share much more about her work since Carving Out Time. So this is the table of contents here, listing the contributors. There's 9 different authors to this book. It's small, but we've packed a lot in. In addition to the curators I mentioned, I wanted to incorporate some of the scholarship that took place at Harvard when the exhibition was on view. The scholars and the artists who engaged with Carving Out Time to offer all of us new ways of thinking about the work. And this included Professor Giovanna Jones and PhD candidates Kayla Jackson and Chastity Weinstock. They shared their insights and beautiful interpretations in public presentations during the run of the show. The list also includes PhD candidate Nora Rosengarten, who wrote a series of posts for Instagram and an essay on the museum's online magazine, focusing on all the art historical references through the work. We were able to reformat that great work for the book in an essay. Finally, another feature of the Harvard exhibition was to partner with the affiliation group on campus called the Association of Black Harvard Women. And this was really a very special collaboration and one of the most important parts of the project for me. 7 of their members collaborated with the museum to design the public programming for the exhibition. And one of their core themes was poetry and the spoken word. The students were unanimous in wanting for this to be a strong focus of the public programming as a way to engage with the prints. And one of the artists we worked with was Mia Word, a poet laureate and now a recent graduate, who wrote an original poem inspired by Carving Out Time. That work was delivered in a public event and is also included in the book. So this book, like I said, will be in our hands in just 8 weeks, and I hope it'll be of interest to everyone here. Now, LaToya, I'll turn it to you to share some of your recent work and some new prints and much more.
Okay. All right.
Oh, I went back, sorry.
Let me go forward. Okay, great. All right, so I wanted to start off with this slide. This is an exhibition view from the Milwaukee Art Museum. So this show closed on January 5th at the top of this year. And so for me, this exhibition is really significant because it's the first time where both the panels and the prints from this series are being displayed. And so for me, Carving Out Time is one work that exists in 2 forms. So my initial idea for the work were the wood panels, and so I was intending for them to be like a mixed media painting. So with a lot of my work right now, I'm incorporating elements from both my painting and printmaking practice. So that was the initial idea for the work. So only the panels were going to be the thing that was going to be exhibited, but my husband, Erison Jacks, who is also an artist, he really encouraged me to consider printing the matrices, which I'm glad I eventually listened to him. So that's why the work exists in 2 parts, but for me, the panels are the primary work, and I consider like the prints to be a secondary part of the work. I also wanted to include this slide because after finishing Carving Out Time, I was really excited by the scale of the work. As I mentioned, each of those panels is 8 feet tall and 12 feet wide, so I really felt comfortable at that scale, so I decided to continue with that scale in my other mixed media pieces, which brings us here. So this piece is titled Jeanette's Daughters. It's a carving of 3 young ladies who I met in college when I was a student at the University of Arkansas, at first at University of Arkansas at Fayetteville. But I met them because I went to their pastor's church, and when I met them, they were all babies. And so a couple years ago, I saw this image of them where they're all adults now. And so it really inspired me to do a work about them, because a lot of my work most recently has been about this idea of the matriarch. Thinking about myself as I've entered into this journey of motherhood, but thinking about my mother, my grandmother, all the women who have come before me, but also what am I passing down to my own son? So seeing these little babies that I saw who are now grown women, thinking about the legacy of their mother, what she meant to me during the time where I was in her presence, it really inspired me to create a piece about them. But technically, you can see that it's very carving forward. So this is a cherry wood panel that has been painted black, and the entire surface is activated through my carving, which you can see here from this detail shot. So this is an example of me kind of combining my identity as a painter and a printmaker together. So it has the aesthetic of what I love about my printmaking practice in terms of me being a woodcut artist, but it functions like a painting. And then this next slide shows the work in the space. So I don't know if you guys were around at the 2022 edition of IFPDA. So I debuted this work here. I was given an artist grant to exhibit work. And so you can see here in my space. And then following that, still kind of playing around with this idea of the matrix as the art object, doing these very carving forward pieces, as I like to describe them. Still the aesthetic of myself as a printmaker, but the functionality of a painting. But I'll use this one to talk a little bit about process, because I think, you know, being in a printmaking crowd, process is always a question that happens. And so for me with this work, it's intended to only exist in the world as, I call it a mixed media painting. So even though I'm activating it solely through carving, it's not intended to be printed. And I think we're gonna maybe talk about that a little bit later. But you can see here a little bit of my process. So I take cherry wood panels and paint them black. And then I do a really detailed drawing in a white water-soluble medium. And so the drawing helps me to get a good game plan, and then from there, kind of the carving takes place. So you can see a little bit of process in my studio.
Could you say a little bit too about where photography plays a role?
Yeah, so photography, I think it's more used as a tool to help me create the images. My husband is my primary photographer in terms of helping me get reference images. So a lot of the reference images I use to help me create the pieces. Now, I will give the caveat that as a professor who teaches drawing, I will say it is always best to learn to draw from life. But just, you know, in the world that we live in, that's not always possible. So I do have to rely heavily on references to work from. And I think also after that, photography is important just for documentation. So you can see here from this shot, I stop and take pictures to document my process for myself, just so I can remember how I did something. Because a lot of times, artists were just making decisions in the moment, right? It's a lot of problem solving that has to happen. So sometimes I'll document just so I can remember what I did if I have to go back to do the same thing before. But also just as the archive, right? And that's kind of our focus for Black Women of Print, to really document our processes, document our voices so people can see what we're doing. And I think that's so important now with all of like the erasure and everything that's happening of our work. Yeah, so documentation is like really, really important. So even, you know, me thinking about that in the past couple of years, I started to take that a bit more seriously. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. And I'll go to this next image. So this work is titled Note to Self, There is Rest for the Weary. I would say over the past few years, I've been working on kind of an extended series called Salt of the Earth. And so I'm taking that phrase, salt of the earth, from the biblical scripture, Matthew 5:13. To paraphrase, it says that we are the salt of the earth, but what if the salt loses its savor? It's there good for nothing but to be cast out and trodden upon the foot of men. And so in that context, I'm really personifying women as salt in terms of our role as preservers. So earlier I kind of talked about the unseen work that kind of takes place in households. So we do a lot of work to preserve our families and cultures and community. But going back to that scripture, it kind of makes me think about it twofold, right? So as we're preserving other people and preserving our families and preserving our communities, what are we doing also to preserve ourselves? And so I kind of really had to think about this over the past few years, and especially for me, that sentiment kind of came about when I stepped into motherhood, just thinking about the weight of that role, but also trying to juggle that, having a professional art career, teaching full time, so just all the different hats and roles that I play. And I kind of got to this point where I realized like I'm just really exhausted, and I wanted to make work about that, which for me, it took a long time to get to that point to where I wanted to make work that, you know, was different than the normal messages that I have. You know, I'm always showing us as triumphant and victorious and beautiful, and like we have it all together, but at the same time, sometimes we don't. I think we put on an outward facing appearance that shows that we have it all together, but sometimes it's not. So that's what these pieces are about. And there's a second piece to this as well. So this one is titled Note to Self, Joy Comes in the Morning. So it was kind of affirmation for me, like, yes, I may be tired, may be experiencing different things, but joy does come in the morning. And I think that thinking about the broader context of what's happening in the country now, I feel like that's also a sentiment that we can hold on to, right? It's a lot of chaos, a lot of craziness happening right now in the world, but joy does come in the morning.
I know you know this because I texted you, but this diptych stopped me in my tracks when I saw them at the Frisk show and Rebecca's show. They're so poignant, and the intensity of the emotion, the vulnerability, but also just the feeling. It's so strong, and part of that comes from the texture and the contrast between the carving and then the acrylic paint laid out in these large swaths. And maybe now's a good moment to ask you to elaborate a little bit more on the carved panel as the object, not as a tool of production. So that being the start, and then working in mixed media, essentially.
Yeah.
More about what that block does for you.
So I feel like most people tend to know me or recognize me as a printmaker, but I very much identify as a painter and a printmaker. When I decided to really commit to a life of being an artist, was in my undergraduate degree, and I decided I was going to be a painting major after like 4 years of struggling trying to be a biology major. But I settled on painting as a start, and then I really fell in love with printmaking after being required to take printmaking, because I had no idea what it was, but I was forced to take a class. And I think what really sealed the deal for me was my professor saw the type of imagery that I was doing, and that I really liked relief, and so he put me on to Elizabeth Callis' work. And then once I saw that as an example and a framework, I was like, oh yes, this is what I want to do. So that kind of started my relationship with printmaking. But I think the way that I think about image formation, I'm still in my painting brain when I think about that. And so eventually, like when I was working on my print work, at some point I really developed an admiration for the block more than the printed pieces on paper. And I think part of that is just because you spend so much time with the block to get to the paper. I also just really love texture. I love things that have like a nice tactile quality. And so it kind of started to pose the question, well, why can't the block be the work? And I, kind of got to that question because somebody tried to buy my block one time. I was carving somewhere and they were like, hey, can I buy this thing? And I'm like, well, this isn't the thing. I'm gonna put it on some paper and then you can buy the paper. The paper is the thing. He was like, well, no, I want this thing. I was like, well, no, you can't have this thing. So that kind of, but after that, it was like, well, why can't this be the thing? And I think at the time I was really trying to figure out ways to make my work more contemporary. By this time, this is like in graduate school. So I did my MFA at Purdue University. So I would say around 2012, 2013. And so I was really thinking about, well, what can I do to push my work forward? My work has always been figurative. It's something I was never going to get rid of, but I did want to think about ways that I can continue this conversation of like figuration. And so for me, it was a natural progression to say, well, let me do everything that I'm doing together. And so in graduate school, I did the first iteration of this idea of the matrix as art object, but they were much more loose. But it was kind of the first time of me playing with this idea of bringing things together. And so I kind of took a break from that. But then I would say maybe 2017 is when I really start to play with that again. So for me, it's kind of like, I like to be able to work between all these different mode, so I can put on my painting hat, then easily shift into like my printmaking, and then shift into collage. And so working on these wood panels allows me to do that freely.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna go to make sure we stay on our slides. Okay.
Great.
All right, so this piece is titled Sunday Morning, and as I mentioned before, I identify as a painter and a printmaker, but this piece tends to lean a little bit more toward my identity as a painter. So for the Fish Show, in addition to showing Carving Out Time, I made 4 new works. So the last 2 works that you saw in this one was another piece that I made for that show, but there's still elements of my identity as a printmaker. So if you look at the detail shot, you can see that the robe is actually carved. So again, this is a wood panel, so it allows me the flexibility to kind of do everything on the same surface. So the robe is carved. If you can see the pattern on the back wall, that's carved into the surface of the wood. The chairs are prints that I hand printed and then, upholstered those chairs in the piece. So I really like this idea of moving between all these different ways of working in a very seamless way. But I think this work kind of goes back to this idea of self-care, kind of that I was starting to mention in the last pieces. And sometimes I use myself to talk about self-care in a way. You can see like from a lot of my most recent works, there's a lot of portraits of myself. I don't always call them self-portraits. Sometimes I do, but a lot of times I'm just using myself to express the larger idea that I'm talking about.
What's the difference for you in those words?
Yeah, so when I'm doing a self-portrait, this is just literally me kind of documenting myself at a particular point in time. So I would say I do like a literal, let me do a bust drawing or carving of my face every now and then. But sometimes I'm just using myself because I don't have time to photograph a model for a new work, and I just really need to get the idea out. And, if I'm in between works, I can just use myself as a stand-in for a larger idea. But with other pieces, I'm trying to express like a particular idea, like with the last 2 works. With these in particular, really kind of challenging this idea of the strong woman, the superwoman syndrome. So those were kind of things that I was challenging with those works. And in those instances, I feel it's easier for me to use myself to talk about things like that. And then this one, it kind of straddles the fence. So obviously it's me. But the Sunday morning for me really represents this idea of care. And just kind of thinking back to this reference, this was taken like on a Sunday morning. So the night before I was like up in the studio working really late. I was really tired. And so for me, like a comfort meal is like scrambled eggs with toast. And tea. So you can see that's what I'm having on the table. Flowers are also self-care for me. You can see there's a vase of flowers on the table. That's what I want my house to look like when I'm done working. So for me, this is, that Sunday morning is kind of, more, an idea of self-care for myself. Yeah. And then this other piece, so this work is one of my favorite works. This was another piece that debuted at the Fisk Art Museum at the top of the year. It's titled Pinnacle. So as I mentioned before, I'm originally from Little Rock, Arkansas. My husband and I are both from there. So if you are from Little Rock or Arkansas, you know Pinnacle Mountain. That's like the thing to do. You hike Pinnacle Mountain. So in this particular instance, we were visiting home for the opening of the new Arkansas Art, the newly renovated Arkansas Art Museum. And so this was the boys' first time climbing Pinnacle Mountain. And so they were really proud because they made it to the top of the mountain. We accidentally climbed like the hardest part, which we were trying to avoid. So I just wanted to document that experience. But for me, it's also a reference to my husband. So I am on the other side of the image taking a picture of them. But he is in the center just to kind of represent not only like the continuation of the slope of the mountain, right? But to represent his position in our family. So he's kind of like the pinnacle at the top. But in terms of process, I'll kind of show this next slide here. It's still the same process. A lot of my work in the past years has been more kind of monochromatic, but I'm starting to bring a little bit more color back into the mix. But it's the same process. So starting with that flat black panel, you can see evidence of the white drawing there. And then, at this point, I've started carving and also laying in color. So you again see the just a process of working between all these different modes. So I'm constantly having to switch from my painting mind to my printmaking mind to mixed media. Again, there's always like a lot of problem solving that happens. And then here is a detail shot of there. And so this one, again, is still all carving, but for the color, I'm kind of working in, it's almost like working with an etching, right? So if you guys know etching, so with etching, you push ink into the lines that you recess, and so I did that. So I carved the whole piece first and then pressed my acrylic paint into the lines so it has one color, and then I rolled the black paint on top, the same way you would ink up a block, so that it gives this like two different, colors. So it's like painting is relief, etching, kind of all these things happening at the same time. And I think I have another detail shot there.
I love this detail. Hello, Theo. I love this detail because you can see that in every passage of these large works, you're manipulating so many different tools. You're picking up and using so many different tools of different widths and qualities. And I know that you've had many people say to you, "Oh, so you use a laser cutter?" And it's like, no, if you could just say a little bit about why it's important for you that people understand and they see that every mark is handmade.
Well, I'm just a fan of the handmade. I call myself an analog girl in a digital world. Like, I'm very much into the handmade, because I really like for you to be able to see evidence of me on the work. And I think as a person who also consumes art, I like to be able to see the artist's hand in the work. Like, when you look up a painting, you can see like the size brush changes, you can see their stroke, you can see, or even in a woodcut, you can see like, oh, I saw that their hand slipped when they were carving this line. So I like you to see the humanity of me in the work. And I think that is so important because we're living in an age where like, I'm not gonna say there's so much fake stuff out there, but it's so many, people can manipulate things in so many ways. So I really just value that as an artist, as a person who is a maker, not only just in like thinking about myself as an artist, but as a person. Like, I'm like a DIY person. I do my own hair. I do my own makeup. So I just really like the act of making and doing and creating things. So I want people to really be able to see me in the work, to feel my spirit in the work, to feel like the life of the mark making in the piece. And so, yeah, I don't use a laser cutter. I don't even know how to program it to make it do what I would want it to do. So, so I'm very much a fan of the handmade.
Absolutely. Something I didn't know about you until the opening of the Harvard show was when someone asked you a question, and you shared that you had worked in ceramics earlier in your career. So you've talked about how this incredible work, Pinnacle, shows different ways of thinking and operating with materials. But does ceramics play a role? Your experience with ceramics play a role?
Well, I wouldn't say that I worked in ceramics. I would say that I really enjoyed working with ceramics and clay as an undergrad student. And the reason that I didn't work with that is because I really like not needing special equipment to do my work, which is one of the reasons why I like relief, because you can do relief anywhere. You don't have to have a press. You can hand print. But when I think about my mark making and kind of like this directional line and cross contour, getting into some nerdy drawing terms here. But I really think about it as if I was molding clay. Like if I was sculpting, in this example, if I was sculpting my son's face, which way would I be moving the clay? So I make my lines go that way as well. So that's kind of the thinking. But I'm not a ceramic. I'm not a ceramicist.
I don't know, I wouldn't rule it out.
Yeah. Okay.
That's great.
All right, so let me see where we are in our script. So now I'm going to bring it back to some of my like print-based work, since we are at a printmaking fair. So this piece is titled "Reading and Minding My Business and Exercise and Being Unbothered," which there was some debate about this title in my household. My husband and sons were against it. I was like, no, this is a great title for this work. And I think it's another instance of just how people are feeling right now. I know my mantra is like, I focus on what I can control. If I can't control it, like I don't spend too much time on it. So, the title kind of stems from that. And also just the feeling of a lot of people right now, just like, I gotta ignore the circus, the craziness, not let it faze me. I peek my head in just to see what's going on, and then I get back out and focus on the things that I can control. But this is a woodcut, again, representing like my traditional printmaking work. As you can see, I really like to experiment with line and texture. So I purposely try to include as many different types of textures in my work as possible, just to really challenge myself and say, well, what haven't I carved yet, right? I think the fudgy slippers are always a favorite in these pieces. And then the next one I'm going to show really quickly is my contribution to the Black Women of Print portfolio. So as it was mentioned before, I am a member of Black Women of Print. We are in booth A43. Please stop by and see us in the fair. But biannually, we produce a portfolio. And so this is my contribution to the portfolio. It's titled Held and Held, Mother and Children. Aside from Elizabeth Khaled, as I mentioned earlier, I'm really inspired by the work of Kathy Kollwitz. And something that I really appreciate about her work is the emotion that she's able to get through her work. And almost it's like these figures kind of emerge from these rich, deep, dark, Black spaces. And so with this work, I kind of wanted to experiment with that as well. So I've been, more recently doing a lot of pieces, again, showing myself as a mother, which I purposely did not do earlier in my career. But I think it's just really important for me to show all facets of my identity. And I think part of that vulnerability is part of the thing that, attracts people to my work. Okay, I think we're getting short on time, but I want to go ahead and go to this next thing. And so this project that I want to share is like my most recent work that I've done. And so as you all should know, or if not, you should know that there is a really amazing Elizabeth Khaled exhibition that has been traveling around the country. The title of that show is Elizabeth Khaled, a Black revolutionary artist, and all that it implies. So I was contracted by the National Gallery of Art's film department to participate in this film series that they have called Like a Great. And so they're doing a film in honor of Elizabeth Khaled. And so they basically use a contemporary artist to demonstrate that artist process. And so since Elizabeth Khaled has been so instrumental to me in my development, not only as a printmaker, but as an artist, they kind of contracted me to show the printmaking process from start to finish. And so the film is called Like a Great. But in addition to making this portrait, I was also able to travel to Cuernavaca, Mexico, to visit Khaled's studio, to visit her estate, to meet her. I met some of her sons. This portrait that I did is of Naima Mora, her granddaughter, so she was able to give me a tour of the estate. So there's, if you are able to visit the museum that's currently on display at the National Gallery of Art, they have that short documentary playing. But aside from that, a smaller part of that was this time-lapse video, again, to really demonstrate the printmaking process. So I'm gonna show that for you. So you'll be able to see me working and creating this portrait from start to finish. It's about maybe 5 minutes, but it's captivating. You're gonna enjoy it, like really stay great to the end. Okay, so I'm gonna play this for you. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, so this is the print. So both that time-lapse video and the print are currently on view at the National Gallery of Art in the exhibition, and that'll be up until July 7th, I believe. So just a little bit about the title. So I titled it Dahlias for Naima because after the photo shoot, I was able to spend some time with her, just kind of talking about her grandmother, talking about, just her experience. We kind of got on the subject of the different places that she's lived. She was born in Chicago, lived in New York, lived in LA. She spent some time in Cuernavaca. So I was curious to know where she considered home, since she's been in so many places. But she said that the place that she felt most at peace was at Cuernavaca. So when I was thinking about her portrait, I like to include something else other than the actual portrait of the person. So sometimes I'll include a pattern or that reminds me of the person. But most recently, I've been including a lot of flowers and foliage in my work. As I mentioned, flowers are a form of self-care. for me. And so for me, it felt quite natural to include the dahlia, which is the national flower of Mexico, because that's the place where she said she felt most at peace. Okay. And then here is a quick shot, as I mentioned, for this longer documentary that'll be available on YouTube. Hopefully at the end of April. We actually have to film one more scene of Naima seeing the work in person because she hasn't actually seen it yet. But this was a shot from when we were filming on set. This is with the actual linoleum plates from Elizabeth Catlett's Negro Woman series, which I was really thankful that her son Juan Mora was able to pull out for me to be able to see and experience. Yeah, so I have one last slide, just kind of sharing what I have going on. So as I mentioned, that exhibition, Elizabeth Catlett, a Black revolutionary artist and all that implies, is up. So you can see the time-lapse video and the piece Dahlias for Naima. The next thing that I have coming up is that I'll be participating in the Outwin 2025 American Portraiture Today competition at the National Portrait Gallery. That's going to open October 18th. And then right now I am in preparations of working toward my next solo exhibition, which is going to be at the Indianapolis Museum of Art in the fall of 2026. So there's my information. So if you want to watch that time lapse, you can see that on the National Gallery's YouTube channel. So if you please share it with people. So if you have students who are interested in learning about the printmaking process, please use that as a learning tool for all of my educators in the audience. But my information is there. So if you want to stay connected and see what else I got going on. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much, LaToya. You know I have a lot more questions, but I've got your email.
Yes.
So. But if we have any questions from the audience, maybe we have some time to take those. Got a few more minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm very impressed by the fact that you were at Purdue and that you had this sort of home life that was, I'm wondering if it was influenced by this landscape of Indiana.
Oh, well, that was way before children. So by Purdue, I was really focused on making work during that time. So I started graduate school there in 2010 and finished in 2013. But yeah, that time was really important to me because it really gave me time to, just to be around other like-minded people. I feel like, artists thrive in community. So when you see other people doing really nice things and making strides in their work, it just encourages you even more. But I would say that time was more just like technically me finding my voice as an artist. It didn't really necessarily impact like the imagery and the concepts of the work. Yeah. That's a question in the back.
Thank you. It's so beautiful. When you made the film, in a way, it goes back to what you said. Did you feel you had to show that you do this? When the question was about using a laser and other things, and the fact that you've excelled, in this genre, sometimes, showing that, for people who doubt that you're doing all of this, that there must be some kind of shortcut. Did you feel that this was kind of like also being able to show people this is what I do, how I do it, and it's me doing it?
I think that's a really great point. And ironically, like my husband and I had been talking about the fact that I need to do a time lapse of a work from start to finish, kind of for that reason. That wasn't necessarily my motivation for wanting to do it. It was really about Elizabeth Catlett and what she means to me personally. Because when I read the email, it was a yes in my mind, but I was like, well, let me still, negotiate and talk about what's going to happen. So I always knew I wanted to do the project. It was really actually like caused me to step out of my comfort zone because I don't like anybody around when I'm working. You ask my husband, like he's like, he likes to talk and stuff. I'm like, what you want? So I really like to be by myself, but I realize it's important just to document our work and document our stories. And so, it's allowing myself to step out of that comfort zone. And it actually went a lot better than what I thought, because it literally was a whole film crew and a whole set in my studio for almost 3 months. And then also being filmed in the print shop at MICA. So, just kind of being under that microscope, I thought I was going to be really like nervous, but actually I was like pretty chill about it. But it does serve that purpose just to show that, hey, she's actually doing all this work. Because, you know, even with the larger pieces, I had people who couldn't grasp the concept, like, that these pieces of paper came from blocks that were actually the same size. People thought I had like did something smaller and then blew it up, like had it printed really big. I was like, no, like these are actually carved the blocks this big. So it does serve that purpose, but that wasn't like my personal motivation for wanting to do it.
Thank you. So I'm really interested in hearing you talk a little bit about your experience with your size of your work, and also as an educator, because I'm an art educator, and something I struggle with my students is getting them to go bigger. So can you talk a bit about your experience with taking up space, or what you say maybe to as an educator about allowing yourself to take up space?
Yeah, I find that same thing too as an educator. I've been at MICA for about 12 years now, and I would say earlier in my time of teaching there, students just kind of naturally worked large. It wasn't a thing. But I feel like now that more people are interested in like animation and it being illustrators, like everybody has kind of shrunk like their work. So I'm always encouraging students to work larger. In fact, some assignments I require like a paper size, you know, for them to force them to work larger, especially in life drawing. We're kind of entering the end of the semester, and their final semester project is to do a life-size self-portrait. So kind of forcing them out of their comfort zones. But I would say for myself, I've always loved to work large. Like even in undergrad, I was the person like walking around campus with like the 6-foot canvas taking it to painting class. So working large has always been something that I've been like just enticed by. Part of it, I think, just it's comfortable for me like physically to work at that scale. And I think on a subconscious level, it reflects my admiration for the subject matter. I like the fact that you used up the phrase like taking up space, which is literally like what I'm doing with these pieces. Like when you walk into this space, it's undeniable. Like you cannot like walk past this thing or ignore it. You have to see it. Even whether the person in the work is looking at you or not, you're still like confronted with this big, beautiful piece. And I think like if you can see this piece and call it beautiful, then you should see me on the street and be able to call me beautiful too, right? So the scale for me serves that purpose. It reflects like my admiration for the people. But I think a lot of times, sometimes people's choices about scale are really just about what they have access to. And I think that's really important for printmakers because how big you print, unless you want to print by hand, but how big you print is really dependent on the size press that you have. So in graduate school, I still printed pretty large for the time, but I had to take like my blocks and cut them down into 3s and print like separate sections, similar to what you saw me doing in the video, but that was because I just cut the blocks to whatever the largest size that they would fit on the press. And then I would kind of piece them together to make a larger work. Now that I have a bigger studio, like I can work even larger. But for carving out time, when I was doing that piece, at the time, my only studio was in the basement of my home. And so once I got invited by Lila Grothy from the Baltimore Museum of Art to, put on the exhibition, which happened because I told her the idea for that work after a studio visit. And then she invited me to be a part of the exhibition that they had coming up. But for that, we had to rent a separate space to work. And so I needed at least a studio that had at least one wall that was 15 feet long, unobstructed. And so now that I had that space, I can do that work. And then my husband, he's really proactive. So after I did carving out time, he was like, well, I don't think the panels are going to come back to us, but if they do, we need a space where we can be able to keep them. So we were able to rent an even larger studio so I can still sustain that scale of work. Yeah.
Hi, thank you so much. I was really intrigued by your sort of distinction between your artistic practice and your sort of making practice. And I was curious about sort of that distinction that you draw and like where is the line between making things and making art? Like, yeah.
Well, I feel like, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have like separated them because I think we're all artists. I think some of us just don't realize what our medium is, right? The thing, I consider like hairstylist artist. I feel like doing hair is like similar to being a sculptor, right? So you have like your spritz, you have your mousse, those are the things you use that to manipulate the hair to make it stay or do whatever you want it to do. So I consider hairstylists to be sculptors. I think like bakers are artists. So I feel like everybody is an artist in some capacity, and we all need creativity in some way. But just in my life, like I always enjoy things where people are making and doing things. And so for me, that still is me engaging in my art practice. So whether I'm like painting something or carving something, or whether I'm in the bathroom like coming up with my new hairstyle, I still feel like I'm same in that artistic mode.
Hey.
Hello.
How you doing? I'm a student right now. I'm a student at Micah. And you talked a bit about your undergrad and how that experience shaped you. Like, during that time, how did you use what you were learning in your classes and even the shift in your major to, like, persist forward and use that discipline to become, like a full-time professional artist? Not just like a full-time in the sense of a career, but like a person who's actually dedicated to their craft. Like, what did your undergrad and your experience with school look like, and how did that relationship like go on?
Well, I feel like a lot of that is like passion that you really can't teach in the classroom setting, because I feel like the students who are going to get it done are the students who are going to get it done no matter what, like without resources, whatever. And so I kind of see myself as that person. Like you can give me a little, you can give me a lot, like I'm going to make it happen because I'm passionate about it and I want to get it done. So as I mentioned before, I spent like 4 years trying to be a biology major. That didn't go well, but I eventually found my way back to art. And I spent a long time in undergrad, which I'm happy that I decided to go that route because, you know, nobody has to live in my career but me. And I wanted to do something that I would be happy in something. And I kind of gauge people like, what would you do even if nobody paid you? And so for me, that's like creating and making and doing. But in terms of my studio practice, I really tried to like see what I can gain from all of my classes. And so I knew that I'm going to be a figurative artist, so I made that the focus regardless of what the class was. We kind of talked about, you know, my work in my ceramics classes. So I was making like vases that were figures because I was like, well, let me practice the figure this way. How many different ways can I work the figure into my work? So I feel like you just really have to see, well, one, be honest with yourself about what type of career as an artist you want to have and the work that it's going to take to get there, right? So if you want to be, you know, the artist that shows at the Blue Chip Gallery and, you know, having all these shows overseas, like that's going to take a lot of work. So you need to be honest with yourself. Do you have the grit to be able to put that work in? Do you have the grit to like withstand the no's that you're going to get for the first like 5-10 years out of graduate school? Because you get a lot of no's. It takes a lot of no's to start getting those yeses. So I think just really being honest with yourself about what it's going to take, you know, to really achieve the type of career that you want. And then I would say another thing that you want to do is like really utilize your professors as resources, right? I think being a good student takes you a long, long way. So I always remember my best students and my worst students. Kind of the people in between, you know, they kind of fall by the wayside. But like, if you think about it, a lot of your first opportunities are probably going to come from your professors. You need recommendation letters. Like, so you want people to think of you in a good light. So that was my experience. So like my first solo show came from my printmaking professor. He had something, he couldn't do it. He was like, hey, I got this opportunity. You think you can do it? I was like, yes. And then I was ready when the opportunities came. That's another important thing too. So if you're only making work for your classes, then I don't know, you may not do that route. So like for me, like I would make work for my classes, but I didn't feel like that represented me as an artist. So I would come home and then make different work for myself that I felt represented me as an artist. So I hope that answered your question.
It did, thank you.
Yeah.
I think we have time for one more question because we're just about out of time.
My son would like to answer that question.
So what actually inspired you to be an artist?
I feel like it is my calling. I feel like it's my God-given calling. And the reason that I said that is because once I made that decision to commit to that, like everything changed for me. So when I was kind of in this limbo space, trying to be a biology major, which for me, again, it goes to knowing yourself. Like I really should have just taken a couple anatomy classes. and then I would have been good because I just love the body. But we got to organic chemistry. I was like, what are we doing? I was in these labs learning about the fruit fly. I was like, I don't care about this. But yeah, once I decided like to get back to the things that I enjoy, which was art and dance, pretty much everything in the arts I love. But like things switched, so I started getting scholarships. I started getting like all these great opportunities, and then even just on my own personal outlook, like I was happier. And so because I was happy, things around me started to change as well. So yeah, I just feel like it's my, there's a scripture in the Bible, I'm gonna paraphrase it, but it says like God has given us the power to get wealth. And for me, I feel like that power is through the things that we naturally gravitate toward and the things that we naturally enjoy. And so I feel like once you can tap into that and tap into the joy of what you do, then I feel like everything else is open for you.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Really beautiful.